Good morning, everybody. It is I, the vintage valuer of vintage. What? I fucked it up. I'm really not good at this. Like, being an entertainer is an actual skill set that I simply don't have. But, you know, through persistence and not being very smart, I believe I can power through it. And, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing. But I'm just gonna start over. Good morning. It is I, the villainous villainous, that was the word I missed. The villainous, not I'm starting now. Now we're going now. Good morning. It is I, the villainous valuer of Vintage Volumes, buying for viewers. Here I am with another stack of books, and then there's a book over there that I should have brought closer. Now I'm gonna have to get up and I'm getting up and getting it now. Okay, here we go. Also, I don't have a thing to open it with, so now got my keys. There we go. Got my keys, handy. Now I'll be able to open the thingy. Let's start with this. This was, actually, you know, almost sort of a mistake to some degree, based on forum mechanics, but I still like the forum I got it from. So there's this company called, CGC, and they're not very good. They're a bad company. But what's interesting is, with the internet, a bad company can create a bad platform, and good people can still find ways to be awesome on that bad company's bad platform. So CGC is a bad company. It is owned by another company, right? You get this problem already. It's all companies. There's no actual humans, right? I can't blame any of this on anybody, in theory. I mean, I can and I will. Matt Nelson. But the idea being, there's this whatever. CGC sucks, but there are real dealers that use their sales forum to sell books. So now if you're buying raw books on the CGC forum, gotta be honest, it's some of the best deals in comic books ever. Most of the lucrative sales that I've made were comics that I bought 10 years ago on the CGC forums and then sold during the most recent boom. So and we're now back to that. So I'm now starting to see really good low-grade silver and bronze key issues pop up on CGC. So I saw a sales thread pop up, and the way it works is it's kind of fun, because you just use an emoji that says "take it." You just use the "take it." Yeah, there you go. Check out the "take it" emoji. It's fun. And so all you have to do is be the first person to quote or list the name of a book that somebody has posted for sale and say you take it. And then the thread determines who won, because you can see them in order. I swear I nailed it and that I had won 3 different books. And this is by far the least interesting of the 3. And then when I went back in the morning, I saw that there were a bunch of I'll take it's between me and whatever that had beat me. I don't know, there's something weird about it, because I swear I was refreshing the thread as I was submitting it and after I submitted it, and I swear I was the only person who had, whatever. So what I'm saying is, maybe the forum is janky and a scam, but I'm still able to meet really cool dealers who have great books for reasonable pricing. And we're back. I don't know. Do I edit all that out, or do I? Yeah, I think I have to edit that. I'm just gonna cut out the part that showed the things. But here we go. So here's the comic book I got. Sorry for the weird delay and breakage. But no, it's $16. It was $10 plus $6 shipping for Silver Age Fantastic Four. It's pretty low grade, but this is a pretty cool issue. Also, 160 plus 160 is indeed 320. So I already know that whoever had this book is great at math, and I'm a big fan of that. So there you go. I honestly think I can just put $30 on this as a price tag, and it'll eventually sell, right? Bought it for 16, gonna be able to sell it for 30. Within the next, 6 months, I could sell this for 30. If I'm willing to hold it, I guarantee you it'll be worth, 50, 60 bucks within a decade. And if anything happens relative to this specific issue, then this becomes a $300-400 book, right? And that's kind of how to play it. It's so weird that people want to be buying things that are valuable. That is not how you speculate. Speculation is about buying things that aren't valuable and then selling them when they become valuable. Everyone's doing everything backwards. Luckily, I'm dyslexic, So this works. Alpha Flight. I've just been absent-mindedly throwing together an Alpha Flight run. You know, I don't know why. Absolutely pointless. There's really no value to it. The idea of a Canadian X-Men is essentially the story. But, like, I don't know, there's Canadians on the X-Men. X-Men isn't a particularly, like, it's not an Americanized idea. It is literally a freedom fighter. Like, they're mostly in opposition of the American government, which actually is kind of an American ideal, is individualism and freedom, you know, and there's this weird thing happening in Texas of them trying to create a scenario where they're allowed to violently overthrow the government, which is so weird, because America allows you to overthrow the government by just being better than the government, and then people will side with you, and then people will do what you want in the government. So, like, it's the weirdest thing that whatever. I don't necessarily understand government-backed superhero teams, is I guess why Alpha Flight makes no sense. The Canadian Secret Intelligence Services needs their elite, right? I don't care. It barely makes sense, you know, for an American team. Like the Avengers were never interesting. They still aren't. They're not an interesting idea because they have a supervisor, right? Like the reason why Fantastic Four and the X-Men were so interesting is because they don't have a supervisor. They are trying to solve these massive problems, and they're kind of on their own, you know. But when you just go and do the mission as assigned by your handler, you're just not that interesting, and no one cares. And that's what the Avengers have always been. They've always been they're military propaganda, so it's boring. There you go. This just looks cool. Big stupid 90s guns. I don't even think this is a Liefeld. I think this is pre-Liefeld. This is the version that's good, where cool people do good art, and they're just ridiculous about it, right? What is this? Coloring, writing, and drawing. This is Simonson. Yeah, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that Simonson did both. You know, and also his wife, you know, coming in to help him. It just was I mean, that's reductive. I'm saying they're both great creators, and I always forget that, like, they'll just write and draw, right? Like, just, it's mind-blowing that they're doing this all themselves. And so, like, this is what the 90s was really about. Liefeld was a scammer, right? This is a 1990 book. There's a good part of all of these bad trends, but the version you're going to get if you Google is going to be the bad part. If you search for 90s comic books, you're not going to get Walter Simonson. You know, you're going to get Rob Liefeld. You're not going to get, you know, these writers that, you're not going to get Jim Starlin, right? You're going to get Jim Lee. And guess Jim Lee's stories don't work. There you go. This just seemed big and stupid. You know, $1 for this big old thick book. One of these square-bound, 80-page blockbusters. Looks real corny. But yeah, this is what I think of as Captain America. He's a shill. He stands there and he looks a certain way. You know, that's not that interesting. He's propaganda through and through. And the only time he's interesting is when he goes against his handlers, which then creates this weird thing where 95% of what his stories are have to be kind of filler. Whatever. Boom. And so, after grabbing that, coming across this, I figured, why not put together the whole year? It was very interesting. This wasn't related to that. There was like a series of annuals that had trading cards with them, but I think that might have been 91 or 92. And there we go. So this is just sort of, I don't know, I think I'm just been throwing together a late 300s Fantastic Four run, because I've pulled a bunch of books, I guess, in the 340s out of the dollar bin that are all around the new Fantastic Four era, where, you know, the Hulk and Wolverine and all them cool dudes come in, and like, I think it's like a weird Skrull invasion kind of thing, where the Fantastic Four are tricked into doing something by the Skrulls, so the Skrulls trick a bunch of other people into being Fantastic Four. I don't know. This is always fun. Acts of Vengeance. I feel like this was supposed to be like a Strangers on the Train kind of thing for supervillains, where they would kind of fight each other's enemies. I don't know, but I remember there being a lot of villains running around, and this is interesting. I mean, this is kind of what you want. I mean, this is, like, think about what this is right now in this moment. This is such a beautiful image, you know, because this is it. You want to say there are heroes and villains in the real world, and there are. The idea is, even within them, they have their own fights. And guess what? This is who we want winning the fight on the villain side. we want Magneto over the Red Skull. We want the guy who doesn't actually believe in might makes right. Right? That's the point of Magneto, is that after, X-Men 150, he kind of saw the path he was on to some degree and realized he was kind of becoming the thing that had put him on that path, right? He was raised, his formative years were in a concentration camp, and it fucked up who he was as a person and made him mean, and he realized that, whatever. Well, this is the version we want. We want Magneto stomping on Nazis. This is what we need, and it's beautiful. Very fun, very silly story. Can't wait to give it a read. This one I grabbed it because it's an homage. I think homage covers tend to be more valuable long-term because they have this other kind of pop culture reference point that if that thing becomes popular, then this also becomes popular. And so this is an homage to, I believe, it's a Demi Moore pregnancy photo on the cover of it was either Vanity Fair or maybe Rolling Stone. I want to say Vanity Fair, but I don't really know. We should probably get a copy of the magazine too. But thought it was fun. Another dollar bin. This isn't about gender. This is literally just, this is no edgelord gender. By the way, this is the thing. This is pregnant dude in this comic. You know who runs the company at this point? Isaac Perlmutter, the biggest right-wing idiot in the world, a Trump donor, a guy who tried to gut the VA, true scumbag, a guy who's sued for procuring a mail-order blackmail kit that the Postal Service found, and whatever. Dumbest shit in the universe. So there we go. Isaac Perlmutter sucks. And his politics are fake. He doesn't believe in anything. He doesn't care about he's completely racist and uses the N-word and has said horrible things about black people. Guess what? He doesn't care about black people. He doesn't care about the blackness of them. He cares that they're not him and his family. And that's it. These people are monsters, and they genuinely don't care. If Isaac Perlmutter hiring black people was better for Isaac Perlmutter, he would do it. Not because he's a good guy or because he's past racism. It's that he's past racism in a bad way. He is a fucking monster. He's a robot, and he is a mercenary. And these people do not care. So, Isaac Perlmutter, you're going to get what's coming to you. Like I'm just saying right now, can you imagine what his life is? He can only go places where everyone there has already been cleared. Because if a comic fan's there, they're going to yell at him. Right? There are literally millions of people that hate Isaac Perlmutter for destroying something that they cared about as a kid. And he has to live with that for the rest of his very, very, very short life. But let's go back to the comics. Oh, look, a vigilante and a false flag murder. Yeah, we're back to the same weird propaganda shit. So this is fun. I always like the newspaper as cover thing. There are a couple of them. I got one a while back about a DC comic, a Wonder Woman comic, where the publicist is murdered. It's a very interesting one. And I love the Yancey Street Gang. It is this great rhetorical device for, I don't know, like the community you're from and your past being valuable, and it might not be as big as your future or your present, but it doesn't mean it isn't real and it doesn't matter. And so the comic book opens with a runaway being chased by a shadowy figure. She tries to jump from one building to the next, falls, dies, and then all of a sudden you have this plot line where they're saying the Yancey Street, right? Boom, makes this jump, fails, dead. Boom. By the way, Yancey Street Gang does not have these shadowy cowls, and this is not what the Yancey Street Gang looks like. It just isn't. So whatever. So we as the viewers know it's probably not the Yancey Street Gang. But then it cuts to the New Warriors, which is another one of these generic teams. It doesn't make sense because they have an org chart. The second you're a team that works for a company, the heroes become irrelevant to the reader, and you realize that a guy's going to show up with a briefcase and he's going to carry the story, and I don't have to pay attention to the characters. It's kind of a bummer, right? The idea is that the things that the X-Men and Spider-Man and Batman and Superman believe, their actual beliefs, drive the action in their story, and they believe something. And when you're a hero who works for somebody, you don't believe anything, and there's no reason for a fan to connect with your narrative. So, whatever. That's that. So it's an interesting story. Guy shows up, says, hey, I don't even know what the fuck his name is. He calls himself the Suburban Kid, which I can't imagine is a real thing, you know, but whatever. So the consultant tells this guy that there was a murder committed by the Yancey Street Gang. Just told. We don't see any evidence. We don't see him push back. They just showed a Daily Bugle article, you know, and we know where those headlines are coming from, fellas. We know that. This is catch and kill. This is what Ronan Farrow warned us about. Jameson has been compromised. He's been compromised by you know, Kingpin, by Hammerhead, by all these dudes going way back in the day. Robbie Robertson's the only one in that organization with any fucking scruples, and he doesn't have editorial control, so we know this article's bullshit going forward. And so what happens? This consultant keys up this guy, turns him into a vigilante. By the way, he's a guy who I don't really know the character's backstory, but I think he accidentally killed somebody. That's his thing, is that he got superpowers and then accidentally killed somebody, and then has been sort of doing penance for that, trying to become a hero. And then he kind of crosses into vigilante. So then he confronts the Yancey Street Gang, and of course, right off the bat, the Yancey Street Gang outplays him, and the only reason he wins is because he's cheating. He's using outside powers. His powers aren't earned. They didn't stem from his own journey. They don't. So it's just he didn't earn the win. Even when he won, he didn't win. But guess what? They're not murderers. The Yancey Street Gang are just a bunch of kids trying to protect their neighborhood and have a little bit of fun in the process. Is that so bad? And you know, maybe you get a free cup of coffee or a candy bar you didn't pay for every once in a while. No big deal. Them's the breaks, and we all need a break. So, who's gonna come and stop this fucking bullshit from happening? You got it. Oh, Ben Grimm is here, and he don't give a fuck about what you think the Yancey Street Gang did, because he knows who they are. Bunch of punks. And you know what? We need a few punks around every once in a while. So, he basically gets in and says, hey, you've been sold a bill of goods. Somebody's aiming you at these kids. This is not who you're supposed to be. This is the vigilante that you used to be. You're better than this now. And he gets it. He gets through to him, and it stops this conflict. So, what happens? You know, they talk through. I don't even care about any of this. Who cares? Consultant is eventually yelled at, probably. But here's God, I love the relationship between Jack Kirby and New York City. That's what we're really talking about here, right? I'm right. It's Ben Grimm and the Yancey Street Gang, but Jack Kirby, King Kirby, was part of this city. And I don't know if I can. There's a fun little. The idea that Jack Kirby. Fuck, what was it? There was a. Man, I can't find it, but there was a phone booth in here, and it was Kirby was the name of the phone company. And it had a fun little thing like, you know, being great for 30 years, which would have been the amount of time Marvel had been printing Kirby comics at the time of this. So I thought it was a nice little touch. But, you know, so Ben Grimm saves these kids and also saves the soul of this moronic vigilante. But saves the kids from this vigilante and saves them from the vigilante. And what is his reward? Some new license plates on his jacket. God, I just love it. I love the idea of them appreciating Ben Grimm and Ben Grimm appreciating the prank. Right? That's what this really does come down to, is that he thinks it's funny. Right? He probably knows these signs are on him, but the signs read, "Thanks for helping, you big chump." Signed, The Gang. The gang loves him, he loves the gang, and they're never gonna stop fighting. That's fun. I love it. Yeah, by fight I mean a scrimmage. You know, so there we go. We got some fun books here. Buy from people on the CGC Forums, but just never pay CGC themselves. They suck, but go to their website. And then read comics, because they're good. You know? That's it. That's the point of comics. To read them. To tell stories. To create mythology and to follow a character that has some resonance with you. You know, I've always found a lot to kind of unpack around the relationship between Ben Grimm and the Yancey Street Gang, because there always is this sense of, I grew up listening to hip-hop, and there's always this sense of you come from a community and then the music and success pull you out of it. And it's sort of how you can navigate that is how well you're doing. My favorite rappers are people who still live in the communities that they were in and built them up. And then the ones that don't last are the ones that pull stuff out of their community and go somewhere else. Because then they're in a place where those aren't their people, right? Diddy didn't have a Yancey Street gang when he was down in Miami or out in Mount Vernon. He may have had one if he stayed in Harlem. But the things he was doing were so distasteful that he was ripping off the artists from Harlem that he eventually had to leave. And that's this narrative we keep seeing. So I like this interesting sort of metaphorical narrative device that allowed Jack Kirby and subsequent artists to explore this connection from your past to your present, your community to your goals. You know, you want to grow and you want to do bigger and bigger things, but it has to make sense. You know, there has to be some connection to who you really are, and that's it. If things go a little bit different for Mr. Grimm, he's nothing but another punk in the Yancey Street gang, and he knows it. And that's not a bad thing. So, there we go. Fun comics. Yep. Go buy them and read them. Good night.